Good morning, everybody. It's Yankee Wally here again. Actually, I'm going to be honest. I've had a terrible few days since I last spoke to you, and it's all my own fault. It's 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 that Karen Reid case. I don't think I realised how complicated it is, and how complicated. Well, first off, there was a first trial. It happened last year in 2024, in the beginning of the year, because the actual incident happened on the 29th of February 2022. 2022. The trial was last year, and it was a mistrial. Now, I started looking at the case when it was coming up for a retrial. And to be honest, what I usually look for in a trial, I hate to admit this, but it's like murder. I, I won't watch anything with children or animals, but murder, sex, drugs, rock and roll, it's where I get my kicks. And also I get to learn a little bit about body language. I watch the body language guys on YouTube, and it interests me to see if somebody's lying or not. I get an enormous kick out of, well, I'm not always right, but common sense will take you a long way. You don't need to be intelligent, just a bit of, savvy. And so there I go. Now, I haven't been to bed. All last night I did not go to bed. The night before it was maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, because I'm trying to catch up on the old trial. Plus then I go on to American. There's one called Carl Steinberg. He's a lawyer. He's got a YouTube channel, and he talks really straight to the point and sensible. So he did a live last night, and of course he's over there in America. So he didn't finish until maybe 5, 6 o'clock this morning. And I'm starting to panic then, because I think, oh my God, no, I'm not going to get to sleep. And that makes me not be able to sleep. And then I fell asleep, and I woke up like 5 o'clock tonight. My body clock is in a terrible state. It really is. But before I go any further, that stuff, what they call it, oh gosh, what's it called? Yeah, I got it by here. Hold on. Wonder dust. Wonder dust. I'm on day 4 today, and it's for the cat. My cat is in a bit of a bad way, to be honest, very bad. And anyway, I've put the wonder dust on 3 days now. 4th will be today, and I haven't seen an enormous difference, but I've seen a difference in my cat. For instance, he's now sleeping on me, which he's never done before, and he's staying close to me, and he doesn't mind this stuff at all. He doesn't run away, and he's let me put a little coat on him to stop him, scratching more. And I've put this wonder dust on, and well, yes, it has all started to scab, but that's when he starts again on it and worries it until it all opens up again. So far, so good. Right, now go on to this Karen Reid. For 2 weeks, I believed that she was guilty. I really did. I thought that her attitude was very glib, that she was almost laughing at the law, And then I started to look into it a bit more, and I realised that she wasn't in the best of health, and that some people, including myself, in all innocence, you show your real emotions, and some people are not as guarded as other people, and many a times I've made a mistake with the way I act, and I've made people think the opposite. I can't give you an example off the top of my head, but I do understand how some people, they just don't show that sort of way. And I think that Karen was unused to being in the public eye and having cameras and all that, and that she was extremely candid and gave interview after interview after interview, and they've used all that to bash her with, which, again, am I wrong? Is she guilty? So it's got me going now, and look at all the stuff I've been collecting. That's. I've got another account, obviously. I mean, those that follow me on Yankee Wally don't want to see me posting about something else. You've got to stay on the subject. That's how you build up your followers. They know exactly what they're going to get from you. So that's bent coppers. Only British people understand that. That's my new um, logo on the other channel that I use. I'll tell you the name of it. I don't hide it. What is it? Oh God, what is it? Well, I've actually renamed it Karen Reid is Innocent, but that woman, I think it is. That woman. Anyway, I'm ploughing through it. Again, most of you that are interested in it, there's so much information out there, and it's extremely complicated. You don't have to be clever, but you have to be sort of on the ball, and there's so many people involved, so many police officers. If she's not guilty, then what you've got is a completely corrupt police force in the town of Canton, which is in Boston, in Massachusetts. That's what you've got, because the way things are looking, it looks to me like there's a certain police officer, senior, called Brian Albert Senior, who's pretty much got control of the entire staff, and they are lying to save his bacon. But you know this saying. What's the saying now? A secret's only safe. You can only keep a secret if one of you is dead. In other words, you can't trust anybody. Well, of course you can with family, etc. But once you tell people your secrets, you more or less become their puppet. They've got your strings. If they are holding one of your very deepest, darkest secrets, you might as well just let them control you, because basically the minute you upset them, bang. Now, if that is true, which I believe it is, then there's about, I don't know, 10 policemen that are having to tell lies to save Brian Albert's bacon. And one of the worst offenders, if this is true, is this woman. Her name is Jen McCabe, and she is the wife of Michael McCabe. But her sister, who she calls Coco, is Brian Albert Sr.'s sister. So her sister is married to the man who, I don't know if I got any pictures of him. So many people involved in this. But I caught a little bit of footage tonight, and it came from nobody to do with the police. This man is a subcontractor who organises or owns as a business in snowplows. And here, oh, sorry about that. Here.
Right, love like that. Yeah, Lucky did good. Straight shooter all the way. Well, we're unlucky. Let me tell you a little story. You guys may not have it. It's not per se about Lucky. I have talked to a person a few months ago that told me he was a subcontractor plowing that morning. And the radio trans.
Right, he was he's telling a story now about the man, or a man, sorry, who was ploughing that morning on one of those ploughs. And he's told this man this story about the night that John O'Keefe got left out in the snow to die with severe injuries, a very, very big head wound on the back of his head. Looked like he'd been hit with a steel bar or a dumbbell or something. One of his shoes was off. He had two of the biggest black eyes, like two black eggs, and a cut above his eye. And his right arm, looked like it had been savaged by a dog or a bear or something like that. Apart from that, there were no injuries from the waist down, virtually none. So they're trying to say that Karen Reid hit him with her Lexus, but the injuries just don't marry up. But it looks to me like he's been badly beat up. But anyway, there was a subcontract ploughing that morning. Okay, let's go from there.
Transmission went out at 0400 hours approximately. Hey guys, report of a pedestrian struck by a plow on Fairview Road. What time?
At 4 o'clock in the morning, about 8 guys report about a pedestrian being struck by a snowplough on Fairview Road, which is where Brian Albert Sr. lived, number 34. And then straight after that message went in, they heard it. The other men overheard it because the CB radio, they all hear each other's messages. The radio went down. Hold on.
When did this come out? What? In the morning. I'll finish my story and you can dissect that. There was only one radio transmission. Now, when you're a subcontractor, you're in a truck, ABC plowing, ABC plowing, ABC plowing. You have communication with the dispatch of the Canton DPW. They give you a portable radio, or you're on a shared frequency. So everybody heard that. There was never another transmission. There was never any EMS response. I mean, don't you think reporting pedestrian start, they would have sent an ambulance and a fire truck?
Yeah, at least a little. At least roll a unit that way and say, hey, can you confirm this? So you send one cop that way, he lights it up, looks around, oh, we got one, expedite medical.
Right. To my knowledge, it was only on the DPW radio frequency. Just that one transmission, radio silence after that. And the story I'm told is that a couple of days after the blizzard and everybody went home and slept, the question was asked, I believe, to the owner of the company, the landscape company. Hey, Brian, whatever happened to that radio transmission? You never heard that transmission? And if you bring it up again, you're unemployed.
Wow. How does it work? So is that the recorded line? That radio?
I don't know whether they have it or not. I don't know.
I'm assuming if it was recorded, they got rid of it. Right.
So basically, the snowplow didn't hit him, saw him, and radioed it in. All of a sudden, the radio is out of order, and that's what they had a little bit of a threat. Those sort of things I'm reading all the time, and I think, my God, this is terrible if this is true. But is it true? Could he be lying? But so I'm ploughing through it, and it's taken me a long, long time. I don't know if any of you are following it at all. There's so much complication involved in it, and I'm fascinated with it. I really am. Hey, by the way, do you remember this photo they put out? Megan put it out a couple of days ago. She's obviously taken a lot of time to frame that picture beautifully, the palm trees and everything. But don't you think it looks like poor little Archie has soiled his shorts? Just the way it's not. I think it's the shadow of the back of his knee. But on his right leg, it just looks like he's had an accident, And I think that if I was his mother and I took that photo, I'd just as well quickly take another one, because that's not nice, and it doesn't look good, does it? Considering that she's gone to so much trouble to make sure that little Lily, has got her bow in her hair. And poor little Archie looks like he's got dirty shorts and no shoes on his feet. That's not fair at all. It's not nice. But anyway, I also managed to get a hold of this. Do you remember, it was 5 years ago, Prince Harry filmed his move to California, calling it a freedom flight, as he and Meghan start their new life across the pond.
6 a.m. on the 14th of March, and we are on the freedom flight. We are leaving Canada, and we are headed to Los Angeles. Grandma's here. Hey, Grandma. Bruno's here with a ball in her mouth.
Why'd you say hi? You're about to go where Mommy's
So busy. This is the current situation, thanks to another amazing friend who we've never met, but who believes in us and wants to help.
And you know who that is just by the plane. That's Tyler Perry. And of course, they go from Tyler Perry's plane to Tyler Perry's house, where they stay for a couple of months. And Harry, I haven't seen him look that happy in a long time. And there's a lot of feedback on that 30-minute video that interview that he gave to the BBC on Friday. Apparently, it was only supposed to be 10 minutes long, and it went on for 30 minutes. Now, you know the behaviour panel on YouTube. Well, Scott Rouse, he's got his own channel, Scott Rouse, and he's analysed it. I think I might be able to show you here now. There we go. I won't show you the vid. I'll just show you where it is. History. Cancel. Harry and Meghan dumped by Ali's. Yeah, apparently there he was talking about his. Oh, happy birthday, Archie, wherever you are. That's the royal grift. Wait there. History, playlists, history. Oh, I can't even find my own chat. Oh, there we are. This, there we are. Prince Harry's interview with the BBC. Is he really in danger? See Scott Rouse there? And not a lot of sympathy for him. And Scott Rouse says he doesn't look worried at all. He doesn't look worried. And Scott Rouse kind of sees it as an outsider. He said, he's a rich cat, he said. He can afford his own security. And I always seem to think, I don't know, maybe I've been around listening to Harry too long. Oh, you know, they haven't got any money. That's why they've got to earn it. And they're running out of money with Netflix at not paying them. But let's be honest, Harry has not got to worry about a single thing. And for as long as Meghan has got her claws in him, she'll be okay too. She will. It's a terrible thing. Those 2 words, I do. It didn't just ruin my view of the royal family. It's ruined millions and millions of people's respect for the royal family for allowing such a dangerous person. That woman, she has no shame at all. No shame. She will do whatever it takes to get what she wants. People say, oh, she's rather clever. She gets what she wants. Maybe she does, but I prefer not to than get a reputation like her as a scrounger, a dirty low-life grifter. No, there's nothing Meghan won't do to get what she wants. Now, maybe people will find her fascinating as a case study. Yeah. But I don't think anybody would want to be a friend, marry her, be a best friend of hers. I don't think anybody would want to get too close to Meghan. I don't think even Harry does at the moment. But you know what's wrong with Harry? Harry's stubborn. And he's never known what it's like to feel remorse and to say, oh my God, I really did cock up. I made a terrible mistake, and for that I am so, so sorry. That's all he has to do. I find it easy, and I'm sure you do as well. In fact, if I do something wrong, I can't wait to clear the air and sort it and say sorry, because for as longer you leave it, the worse that person thinks of you, and so they should, because you've done something bad. That's how I see it. Oh, I've got to clear that up. I've got to say sorry. I've got to make it good. But Meghan, no, she has no idea of the meaning of apologies or anything like that. And of course, Harry was born into that sort of a life, which again brings me on to say, Harry is no doubt, undoubtedly, the child of Diana and King Charles. He's got their genes, he's got the blood, he's a royal. Where did all this come from? This absolute nastiness that's in him, the spite, the feelings of the horrible things that he's done to his family. Now, his uncle, his great uncle, King Edward VIII, who married Wallis Simpson, my namesake, he had a villain streak in him. He was determined. I cannot go on I cannot take this heavy burden of being king without the love, no, without the woman I love, basically. And that was his abdication speech. But him and Wallace went off to the Bahamas, and they governed. He was governor of Bahamas. Forgot mind, there was a nasty murder out there where one of the blokes, he was a Canadian lord, he got tarred and feathered, didn't he? Killed, tarred and feathered. That was when Wallace and Edward were out in Bahamas, and then he had to come back. They ended up settling in France. Now, I think that Harry isn't happy in America, and I think Charles and Donald, between them, have already sealed his fate, whatever's going to happen. Because Harry really is at the mercy of a visa, like all of us. He's at the mercy of the president or the king. He might not think he is, or he might resent the fact that but he is. He's at the mercy, as we all are. The president can take your visa away, your passport away, and so on. So Harry, one day, will probably crack and say, I've got to get out of America. Well, we don't want him back in UK. He's really not liked now. And I mean, these rotten tomatoes will happen. It's funny, really, because a lot of people, nothing to do with Megxit, are actually putting tomatoes in captions. It's a legal way of saying, well, it's not a loaded gun, obviously, but it's got the same connotations as we will head these your way. And Meghan got the message. I think that's why Meghan doesn't want to come back to UK. She knows it's possible that she could get a dozen overripe tomatoes straight heading for her and her white suit or whatever she's wearing, beige. It's going to happen if she's not careful, if she turns up. Mind, Harry's come here a couple of times and he hasn't been bothered. And of course, there's a lot of anger as well that when he came over last week for the court trial, he was at his friend's house, Ben Goldsmith, one of the goldsmiths. I think his mother used to, Annabelle Goldsmith, who the nightclub was named after, Annabelle's. And he came over and he was at his friend's house and he ordered Deliveroo, which is like, the DoorDash, what's the other ones? Can Just Eat. And those sort of, you ring up and you order your McDonald's or whatever you want. And apparently he ordered it, opened the door, and here it comes. Now, what if that person was an assassinator or wanted to harm Harry? It wouldn't be that hard to find out where Harry went when he arrived in UK. They'd only have to follow him out of court one day. Easy. Because he could have been killed by the Deliveroo driver. And even his friend Ben Goldsmith, that's why he told the papers. He said, he doesn't give a damn about his own security. He doesn't care about his own security because deep down he knows that he'll be protected. He's already got one security man over there in Montecito. I've seen him everywhere. He's in the court with him last week. Same bald looking, not very old, maybe 40s, something like that. But let's see anyway. But I think that Charles has made a fantastic move. I think that William really does despise his brother now, because when it comes to it, duty will come first. I mean, what would happen if the crown suddenly got disbanded, or people said, what if it became like a revolution to overturn the crown? Where would all the jewels go? Well, they'd be looting, wouldn't they? So they'd disappear into different people's pockets, and the wealth would just get redistributed, probably amongst the cartels and the people who's got more force than the likes of you or me. They'd loot the palaces, take over the palaces. It wouldn't be good. It would be survival of the fittest, and you'd have a whole bunch of crooks running the country. At least with the crown jewels, it's like the Queen said, I am not the owner, I'm just the custodian. The only thing she said she ever owned that was hers was her name, which Megan swiped. It's a sad old world, isn't it? So he's not in danger at all. There's nothing that's going to happen. I'm really sorry about Virginia Jeffrey, though, and now there's talk that she may have been actually murdered, and it may have been by somebody to do with Jeffrey Epstein, or apparently her ex-husband, or her husband, estranged, was a martial arts expert who she met in Thailand when he was over there for a martial arts competition, and she was over there to find some Thai girls for Jeffrey Epstein. Well, there's a fine start for a relationship, isn't there? You meet in the is it the Philippines, they call Thailand? You meet over there. That's a bad place to meet anybody, because nobody goes there just to, you know, just to enjoy the scenery and rides in the country. It's all to do with the red light district, isn't it? And those sort of things. And that's how they met. Then they got married and they had 3 children. And then he took the children away from her. So whoever, and let's not forget that Virginia Giuffre had, in payment from the royal family, it's over 10 million, 12 million, 14 million. She would have had 10 million in her pocket. So if her husband was still married to her and he red rummed her, as they say, he would have 10 million, wouldn't he? He's living in the beach house in Perth. She was in this farm right in the middle of nowhere, about 80 miles north of Perth, on what they call a hobby farm, which is not a serious farm. It's more like a hobby than it is, a working farm. And that's where she was. And she had a lady looking after her because she wasn't too well. And those injuries that she had could well have been from where her husband gave her a hiding. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But she was definitely not in the right frame of mind when all this happened to her. And for that, I feel terribly sorry for her. Terribly sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, apparently she went down the wrong road very, very young in life. And that's never a good sign, because when you go down that bad road, drugs and so all sorts of, prostitution, before you've hit your teens even, the chances of pulling you back into line are not very good at all, because that's all you know. I thank the lucky stars. I think that it's rare these days to have been brought up poor but honest. All right, I went off the rails, but I went off the rails at 35, and that's what saved me. If it had been more like 23 or 13, I think I would have been a goner, And luckily, I can talk to you about anything to do with that, knowing that luckily I kept my standards and my morals. And for that, I'm always grateful, that I think I did more good than harm. I'm still, now that I'm 69, I'm getting a lot more softer in my old age. I'm starting to regret some of the choices that I made, careless choices that I made when I was younger. I'm noticing that more and more. For instance, I've never been cruel to an animal. No, I haven't. But things that I did when I was younger, I spend more time thinking now, would you do that now? And I think, no, I wouldn't. So I think in my heart, I'm sorry, but sometimes when we're young, we do things that we maybe regret. But I don't think it's important. What's important is that you know that it was wrong. Virginia, she would have a very hard time with her husband trying to lead a pure life, because how she met her husband, he was okay because he went over there for a martial arts competition. Whether he went and spent the rest of his time with the ladies of the night, she would never know. He'd keep it right out. But in her case, because she was associated with Jeffrey Epstein and collecting girls for him, she will always be thought of as a pimp or something, or a prostitute, and that's what her husband knew. And that's a bad start for a marriage. You're better off never letting your husband or anybody know anything like that when you change your past. Because it's like I said, two can keep a secret if one is dead. You giving them the strings. And I guess that when the marriage started to go wrong, that's what her husband would use in a court of law to get custody of those 3 children. Well, that's enough to make anybody despondent, isn't it? Just because you've been in Thailand collecting girls when you were 17 doesn't make you a bad person. Doesn't make you a bad person if you went on the game. Doesn't make you a bad person if you took drugs. It doesn't matter. It's who you are now that matters. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to go now, and I'm going to try and get to bed. It's 3:15 in the morning now. I am really, really invested in this Karen Reid trial. I really am. And I'd like to know, and I will make a point, I'll get to bed now and get up about 9, if I can, please, God, and look through the comments, because has anybody else been following the trial? Is anybody else interested in the trial? P. Diddy was in court yesterday. He was in the jury selecting. I don't know if I'm going to be that interested in that one. There's only so much bloody baby oil and that sort of, I'm not interested in the names. Everybody's capable of it. It's just some of their names get out and some people manage to keep it hidden. I don't trust any of that crew. But if anybody's interested in any trials, let me know. Otherwise, I'll keep banging on about Meghan Markle and the royal family. Oh my God, did you hear the... Oh, yeah, another podcast dropped today. And this time she used, what's her name? Menendez, her friend who owns Clever Coffee. She's a Brit who went to America because she didn't like Britain, apparently. But Meghan invested in Clever Coffee in the same way as she invested in Hippie Hair shampoo, the one before her. Have you noticed a pattern? All the people that Meghan is interviewing, she can't invest in Jamie Kern Lima because Jamie Kern Lima can buy and sell Meghan. I think Meghan's hoping that if she makes this big success of her jam company, that she's going to be able to sell it to, I don't know, a jam company, Bon Mammon, for billions. She wants to be a billionaire, so for billions. She can't. There's nothing novel about her jam. There's nothing unusual or special about her spread, her honey, her scone mix, her crepe mix, her tea bags. They're all from somewhere else and repackaged. She hasn't invented nothing. Anything. She got to sell an awful lot of jam to make $1 billion. And I still say it, I'll be surprised if that woman has made a solitary penny. I would be surprised. I think she's running at a loss because she sent out so many baskets of jam, and I don't think she was selling that many on her first day. I think she was lying. She maybe had 10 jars of jam, and then she was out of stock. Oh, we sold out. No, she didn't sell out. And that place was called, there's a place up the road that makes cottage industry jam and do it for order. Oh, it's not Palisades. Placindigo. Starts with a P. It sounds like Palisades, and it's just up the coast from Meghan's house in Montecito. So she got plenty of people that can make the jam for her in bulk, and it would be cheap. It's no more than, I don't know, £10 for a kilo. And a kilo, with the size of her jam jars, she could probably fill, I don't know, she's only doing £0.5, less than £0.5 of jam in each jam jar. 15 quid. Disgusting. But nobody's going to buy it with any sense. And anyway, it's not even jam, it's spread. Something dodgy about the word spread. it tells me that there's more than one ingredient in it, and they're not going to tell you what it is. It's all in the spread. It's like Nutella, isn't it? It's spread. No, I don't trust a spread. Anyway, I'll see you as soon as I can, maybe the day after tomorrow. And thank you for the person that got me onto Wonder Dust. I've got it here. I'll tap the screen with it. I can't take a picture now because I'm recording, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we got good results. I'll tell you what, I could fill a garbage pail with the amount of products I have bought and tried for my cat. I've got antibiotics on the way as well. In fact, I can show you that. There you go. Here we go. I try and... Oh, where are they now? Not there. Oh, there we go. There we go. Doxycycline. That's for what I got. And look at this one here. How did we go from this to this? Oh, I don't know, mate. I don't know. Credit to whoever made that. It's absolutely great and very much true, isn't it? Good looks these days, they don't exist, I don't think. And the youngsters are doing so much harm to themselves. Anyway, speak to you soon. Thanks for listening. Cheerio!